Hello everyone, Coming Clean here. When I started playing the Skylanders games a little more than a year ago, the first thing that struck me was how many people were still discussing, playing and making content about the games. How can a franchise that's been cancelled for so many years still generate such an interest? That's what I'll take a look at in this video. I hope you'll enjoy it. So what are the indicators that Skylanders are popular? The first thing is the very active subreddit where people write posts about the games every day. There's also a vast amount of Skylanders focused YouTube channels, both big and small, and the community overall seem to never run out of things to discuss or share about the games. You may think that that's logical since the games are all very popular and well received, but it's when you start to make comparisons that things become a bit more puzzling. Disney Infinity, for example, that was cancelled about the same time as Skylanders, was also a series of Toys to Life games with multiple releases with some of the biggest IPs in the entirety of the entertainment business associated with them. With a quite extensive toy box creation mode for making your own levels and adventures, at least on paper, this franchise should have lived on with the help of the community. I'm not saying that it didn't. I am part of the Disney Infinity community and I've made several videos about the games, but their current popularity doesn't come close to that of the Skylanders franchise. So how is it that the Skylanders games are still so popular? Here are my best takes on the subject. Number 1. The Skylanders games are great games. It doesn't have to be more complicated. Good games are good games and they will stand the test of time and also attract an audience regardless of the time that's been passed since release. It's one of the reasons why Sega is re-releasing the classic 2D Sonic games in a bundle 31 years after the original Sonic the Hedgehog. Nintendo also uses ports of games released for a 3 decades old console as one of the main draws of paying for the subscription model. The Skylanders will always have the label of the first successful Toys to Life franchise, but the games are polished, well written, has varied gameplay, high quality voice talent, and the games also evolved over the years they existed, always keeping a perfect balance between adding new mechanics and keeping that which the audience liked. Each of all the 6 games is at least one person's favorite. I think that says a lot about the franchise as a whole. Who knows how we will look back at these games in 10, 20 or even 30 years. I am however confident that however big of a game changer the Toys to Life aspect were at the time, we will never see past the fact that Skylanders is a high quality gaming franchise. Moving on to the next point on my list. Number 2. The timing of the release. The target audience of the Skylanders games in general was kids ages approximately 8 to 10. I am sure that some players were younger than that, and I am also confident that older players found great enjoyment out of the games. But the target age group remains what it is. The Skylanders games were released yearly between the years 2011 and 2016. That means that players that were 8 to 10 years when they got their first game would be between the ages 15 and 21 today. Will you look at that? The prime age for avid use of the internet. And these youngsters also has got a lot of time on their hands. Just a quick disclaimer, since I know many of my viewers are of this age. I am not saying you have all the time in the world. I'm sure you are busy with work, school, chores, studies and partners, but let me just say that wait until you're 36, own a house and have 2 kids and see how much time you have to spare then. With all that said, back to the video. And with this relatively large amount of time, 15 to 21 years old can engage in conversations on Reddit, watch YouTube videos and interact with content creators and perhaps even start their own channel. And one topic is not unlikely to be your favorite childhood gaming franchise. So, thanks to the time period of Skylanders' popularity peak, the people who enjoyed the games the most are now the primary internet users in a day and age where the internet is in everyone's pocket. Moving on to the next point on my list. Number 3. The Skylanders games have numerous nuanced aspects. What do I mean with this exactly? Something that is nuanced can be approached from different perspectives, and more specifically, a video game that is nuanced can be enjoyed in various ways. When it comes to Skylanders games, 2 things primarily comes into mind: the gameplay and the writing. Let's start with the gameplay. I've touched on this subject before and stated that a game like Skylanders needs to be enjoyed by players of many different skill levels. The vast amount of playable characters and playstyles allows for just that. Some characters are clearly made to appeal to players with more gaming experience, looking for a bit of a more technical approach to the combat sections. Prison Break from Spyro's Adventure is one such example, and possibly also Neo Cortex from Imaginators, just to name a few. The developers also did a great job of allowing specific characters to be used in different ways, allowing players of different ages to enjoy them. Younger players will find great enjoyment running around in circles and spamming, say, Camo's main attack, while parents and older siblings will probably experiment with his secondary and tertiary abilities. The writing of the games is also nuanced, like in modern animated movies. When you play the games when you were 8, a lot of the jokes probably passed right past you, but they were surely enjoyed by older players. If you play the arena in Imaginators, you probably chuckle at Chill Bill's and Broccoli Guy's jokes, but your 6-year-old nephew is probably busy rushing back and forth with Tri-Tip's dash ability.
We do not stand a chance. No chance standers, they.
Having these nuanced aspects is of course very important for any entertainment franchise, primarily aimed at kids, since the parents are most likely part of the experience too. They are more likely to take their children to the cinema if they can get at least some enjoyment out of the movie, and in the case of the Skylanders games, they are much more likely to give in to the nagging while buying Swap Force if they had a good time playing Giants. So how does all this come into play when it comes to Skylanders' popularity? When players are dusting off and replaying the Skylanders games they enjoyed in their childhood, they are not just getting a nostalgic trip down memory lane, they are also experiencing games in new ways. In that regard, the Skylanders games are timeless, giving the gamers who are now in their late teens or early 20s plenty of reasons to replay them, and also taking their thoughts and experiences online. Now we move on to the last point on my list. Number 4. The actual toys. I play a lot of different video games, and years ago I went almost completely digital. Toys to Life games and the occasional Switch game are more or less the only ones I have in physical form. If you also are that type of gamer, you know how easy it is to forget that you actually own a certain game if it's just lying there in the cloud among the other hundreds of games you will never have time to play. The Skylanders games are different in that they needed physical figures to play that can take up a lot of space. Maybe everything is tucked away in a box in the attic, but chances are also that the figures are scattered all over your home, and they have been so for the last 8 years. These constant reminders will make it hard for you to forget about Skylanders, thus increasing the chances of you wanting to pick up the games again after all these years. Those were the main reasons I think the Skylanders games are still so popular. If you can think of another one, then please leave it in a comment. Feel free to check out my other Skylanders videos, and you're also more than welcome to subscribe for weekly gaming content. That is however it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Coming Clean, and I will see you next time. Take care!